That was my dad for sure. My dad, yeah, he pushed me. He pushed me in everything. I played baseball. Fielded a ground ball. I threw it. He's like, it could have been fielded better. It could have been, thrown better. It could have been thrown faster. Could have been better mechanics. There's always more to be done. My dad always taught me that I'm never the best, and as soon as I think I'm the best, there's someone out there better than me. So it's always striving for perfection, but you're never gonna make it there.
Welcome to the Dashcast episode number 2. In this episode, we talk with Elleon. For those of you who don't know who Elleon is, he's a former professional Smite player and a current full-time Smite content creator. In this episode, we dive into Andy's team history, including the best teams he's been on, most successful teams he's been on, some of his favorite players, and more. We also discuss how to improve as a player. He gives advice on that. And we talk about his streaming career and how to get into streaming if you're looking to get into streaming in the first place. We also look at some of the deeper things, such as his passion and success, and how he actually got that passion in the first place. In my opinion, Leon's a very successful person, and he has a lot of experiences that he's willing to share in this podcast episode. So I hope that you guys can learn a lot from this episode, and I hope that it can apply to you in your daily lives at some point. So let's hop right into the episode. Andy, dude, so you have been competing in Smite for, God knows how long, many years, right? You've been a part of a lot of different teams. Soar, Elevate, Space Station as well. You were also in the Smite Console League as well. What do you think your best performing team was? In other words, what team did you see the most success on?
Oh, that's a good question. We're starting off like Hot Wings, bro. You know how they always, Hot Wings, they always like, is it Hot Wings? I'm trolling. Is it?
Well, no, with the questions, yeah, when they eat
the chicken wings,
the
like
spicy
the hot sauce.
Yeah.
The guy starts off with a banger question, and the person's like, "Oh shit, this is a damn really good question." So the best team that I felt like it was between these two teams. It was me, El Brochacho, Uzi, Agro, and I think we had Zaxi at one point. That team was. I felt like I just could do whatever I wanted. We could flex. It felt like a Dota team. Me and Brochacho had picks that we can both use, whether it was like Fender or Athena, and we felt like so comfortable. Like we could just put it wherever we want. We're like, oh, Athena looks pretty shit in the jungle right now. Let's throw that into support. And being able to move your draft like that felt a lot like Dota-like and like top MOBA, and that felt really good. And this last team that I just went with to Worlds felt really strong with so little time. We just hit like this stride. Nobody really thought we were going to be anything, and then we just kind of rolled with it, and I felt really comfortable with that team.
Yeah, no, were you, I actually do want to talk about that team too. That's like my next point. But going back to your El Brochacho team, were you jungling at that time as well? Or
yeah, I was jungling.
Okay, and was that
support?
Okay, gotcha. And was that the team that you guys won a Smite Console World Championship, right?
We got second place with that team.
You got second place. Okay, cool. Gotcha.
Because Agro left us. We were like the most dominant team, and then Agro got an offer to cast for high res, and he was a caster to begin with in like other fields. That's what he studied for. So he called me and he was like, "Yo, bro, I know this is gonna hurt," because me and him had insane amount of synergy. Like I pretty much like taught him like, "Yo, this is the high level MOBA." Like he knew Smite, and then like we were like grinding to mana efficiency, when to pull camps, how to feel aggro, like the shot calling stuff. And then he called me and he's like, "Bro, I feel so bad, bro, but I have to take this opportunity for me and my family and my future." And I was like, "Of course, man, I understand. Go kill it." And in my opinion, he ended up being one of the best casters Smite's ever had. So shout out to him. He made the right decision.
Yeah, dude, Agro. In fact, actually, Bobby and I, when we were on podcast the other week, we were talking about casters, and he also said Agro he thinks was the best caster, hands down.
100%.
And yeah, dude, I mean, like that's the team talk that you don't want to hear, right? You get into a call, it's like, guys, I got to tell you something. It's like, oh no, man,
oh no,
we're already doing so well.
Facts.
Who replaced him on the team?
Oh, we had Shaliber. I don't know if you remember him. He's he stopped playing like a couple years ago. But he was like playing in the SEC at the time. Everybody thought he was really good. We had to pick between him and Baronic actually, and Paul.
Oh, wow.
Can you believe it was Paul too? Yeah. We tried out Paul, and I thought he was a mechanical like god, which he is, but we just didn't synergize like in terms of like how we played. I just felt like he wasn't very vocal at the time. But I heard that through other teams that he became more of a vocal person, and if you add vocal to that type of player, the limit is endless.
Yeah, no, a lot of people think that you can just put the 5 best players in the game on the same team and it's the best team, but a lot of it has to come down to synergy as well, right? You can have very, very good players, but if they don't synergize well, the team's not going to do well.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how good you push your buttons. It's about how you push your buttons together.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good one. Yeah, so like going to the season 10 run, because this is what I want to talk about. Dude, you guys absolutely killed it during the season 10
Thank you,
run.
brother.
Yeah, you got it was you, Tuba, Nog, and
Slash and Delny.
yeah, Slash and Delny. And you guys 2-0'd the Hounds, which consisted of like Neoma, Ducky,
Benny,
and who was the AD? Oh, Stewart and Oath, right? As the jungler.
Oath,
Yeah, so dude, you guys 2-0'd the Hounds, and I gotta say that like NASEC, because NASEC I feel like is typically not as good as the EU SEC, right? Like typically when we've seen teams going to LAN events, it's been like the top 2 EU SEC teams sort of on top. And so when I saw that happen, I was like, man, this is crazy. These guys could actually make it. And then what happened after the Hounds match? You guys played the Solar Scarabs, right?
Yeah, we should have beat them. We were ahead 3 games. So this is what happened. We actually rewatched every game. And you've been on a team with me, so I like to, when we go to LAN and stuff, I like to like rewatch everything and try to break down what happened and how can we fix that, especially in these double elimination tourneys where you do have a second chance. And so we watched back that game, and I had bad macro on my shot calls for FG for one reason. We would poke out the Osiris Deathwalker, and then he would hit the Tikis for full health. So we got him to 30% with a taunt, and I'd say, yo, pull it right now. And then when I watched it back, I did not notice that he went back to the Tikis and sustained back from 30% to 100% with death, the upgraded death toll. And I didn't account for that in my macro, and then that messed up a lot of our calls. Game 1, I think Nog called an FG. We were dancing back and forth with FGs for like 20 minutes, and we just, we just pulled it, and it went bad every time that we pulled it.
Yeah, I remember Nog actually was having some trouble with secures, I believe, in that set too, right? With the Kukulkan. But yeah, what game was that for the macro? Was that game 2?
It was all 3 games. I think all 3 games we got a lead, and I think it was only one game where we didn't get a lead, but yeah, every game we got a lead, and we just at FG they would stall with like Apuage and just wait for us to pull it, and then DW. I mean, besides the Tiki, that guy's a goated solo, one of the best, if not the best.
Definitely. No, I mean, he's performed, I think, at every single LAN event I've seen him go to. That tier play was insane, like last Worlds.
He just does whatever he wants. That's like the beauty of Deathwalker, right? Like he comes into a tournament, he says, "Hey guys, I'm playing Bologna with Death Toll. Nobody's playing that, but I am, and I'm gonna." And then everybody's like, "Oh guys, I don't know why no one thought about this, but everybody go Osiris and Bologna DT because that's what's gonna win the game."
Yeah, and, dude, he says what he's gonna do ahead of time, like you can't stop me, and then does it anyways, Yeah.
Legend.
And so you guys got knocked to lose bracket after that set and played the Kings, I believe. How did the set versus the Kings go? Like, what was the mindset there?
So we knew it was going to be a hard set. I mean, they looked really bad, actually, playing versus, I forgot who they played. I think they played the Hounds, which we beat, right? Or I don't know who they played. They played someone. We got to watch the full thing.
They played the Scarabs. They played the Scarabs, and they played the Hounds, yeah.
Okay, so we watched the Hounds, right? Because we got knocked out with, we lost our first game to the Scarabs, and we watched them and we're like, bro, this is so beatable. Only thing we got to worry about is, well, this actually happened twice, right? It was Jarkor and Echrome. Those were like considered the 2 best hunters, like one of the best hunters, and we had Tubo, which a lot of people like to downplay, but he actually improved an insane amount in the last year. I actually teamed with him in the beginning of season 10 and the end. It was actually very crazy to watch or actually experience, and from season 10, listening to him talk, I was like, man, this feels like a very inexperienced MOBA player. He has good mechanics. He has his Hachi. He has his hunters that he's really good with. But in terms of like where to stand, where to be, how to make impact on ADC, it just felt like pretty lackluster. And then I was jungle, so it was completely different synergy. Like when I'm a jungler, I'm like, yo, bro, like, can we do this? Can we do this objective? Can we not? Who are you hitting? And then when I moved to support on that team a year, like 8 months later, it really felt like a different player. Like he was telling me what he wanted to do. And I was like, whoa, Tuba, okay, I'm sorry. We can invade purple if you want. So yeah, he really changes the player. And then to go back to the same point. So everybody thought Echrome, Jarkor is going to demolish them. I mean, Tuba's going to get demolished. And I think we won almost every duel lane in terms of just like winning the lane. I think we lost a couple versus Jarkor. I think it was like 1. But we felt really good, really confident in our dual lane. And then we just lost versus the Kings straight and square. We had really good game one. I had a pretty good Maui performance. I had like a 3-man ult at Phoenix that like turned the fight, and we won game one. We were all hyped up. We felt it, and then they just kind of recollected themselves and started playing clean. They just played slow and just said, okay, let's play objectives. We also gave Twig Lance, which was one of his best picks. I thought Lance, everybody said Lance was garbage. I always thought Lance was like one of the best junglers in the game, regardless of like not, people said he had no damage or whatever, but I thought he was one of the best, and he cooked on it. So, shout out to him, and they just beat us fair and square.
So you mentioned that you gave him Lance. So what was drafting like going into that? Like, how were you guys playing for the draft versus that set?
I think Hachi, if I remember correctly, was like the best hunter in the game at that point, and the safest on top of that. So we kind of wanted to get that out of the game because we knew giving Jarkor, like one of the best players, the best hunter, it just doesn't seem smart. And then who was their support? It was Quig, right? I think it was Quig.
Yeah, it was Quig on the Kings, yeah.
Quig is a very interesting support. He has like Baron pick, right? Like really different picks that nobody plays. I mean, other people play Baron, but like willing to whip it out on elimination game or going to Worlds is pretty interesting. And I had the Afro at the time, and Baron absolutely annoys Afro because you're just forced to waste ult, and you can still get pulled post ult too on Afro. So that felt weird. We both liked Afro. It was weird drafting versus them. We just knew no Hachi for Jarkor, and we had to worry about big man Tings. He just went off. I don't even remember what the hell he played, but he just played out of his mind. I think it was Thoth. We kept giving up a lot of Thoth because we were playing Thana and we felt like we had matchups. I liked Maui into Thoth as well, so I was like, no, let them pick Thoth, and he punished us. He had really good just late game poke and late game ults.
Yeah, no, I mean, everybody played that set amazing. I think even BMT after the set, like you guys did too, of course, and I believe after the set, BMT even like tweeted out, he said like, GG's to you guys. Nog deserves to be in the SPL. Like so much praise for Nog from that. So with that being said, who do you think the most influential player on that team was?
The Kings?
On your team.
Sorry, on my team?
Yeah.
It had to be either Nog or Slash. And when I say Slash, I mean because of his situation. Like, he hadn't really been playing Smite, and then I just hit him up. All right, this is pretty much how I went down for that team. I scrimmed with them. I played against Nog for a long time. Like, he was like we scrimmed. We were scrim partners this whole season 10. And I was like, this guy, like, I love Briz, but that guy was just doing it. Like, he was doing it at Briz, and I thought highly of Briz. And I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's going ADC, jungle mid, and he's cooking everybody. And then I teamed with him, and I was like, okay, let's see how good he really is. And then I enjoyed every second playing with Nog. I love his personality, and I thought, like, damn, this guy is so good, I want to support. Like, this guy is that good that I'm like, I don't need to jungle. I don't need to play bots or any of my what I think I need to hyper carry. I need to give this guy a good game. I need to give Tuba a good game, and then we can figure out the jungle situation, however, And I just hit up Slash, and they were really skeptical about putting Slash in jungle. Very, very skeptical. They were like, isn't he a solo? Isn't he playing Smite? And I was like, bro, I trust this guy. This guy's good at the fucking game, and he trusts me. We can figure out our picks. I'll tell him what I think is good, and I can put it, with flavor on what he likes. And it ended up working out. So I would say Slash or Nog, honestly, between them two.
Yeah, I think Slash actually surprised a lot of people because a lot of people looked at your team when you guys picked up Slash and were like, no way that's going to work out. Like you said, he's a soul laner. A lot of people had doubts. What made you want to pick up Slash in the jungle? Could you guys not find another jungler at the time that you just didn't think that either wasn't already locked into the tournament going into the qualifiers, or you just didn't like any of the other junglers?
So the process was the team wanted me jungle off the bat. And then I also wanted jungle, but then I thought of Slash, and I was like, this guy can play Thor. This guy has Athena, and then we can figure out the other picks when it's time. I think the synergy, we had 1 month, maybe 3 weeks. I was like, look, I have synergy with this guy, with Slash. Jungle support synergy is the most important synergy in the game because that's how you make any plays on the map. And when you look at our games at Worlds, it was all about me and him just connecting with Nog and creating opportunities. And so I thought it to myself. I talked to my team and I said, hey, look, we need to give Slash a chance. He played Thana and played like a little bit of Thor, and we were just crushing it. I would just lead because he was newer to jungle. He had to learn like the rotations, the farm rotations. And I was like, bro, don't worry about it. Just look at the map. Whatever farm is up, get it. And then I'll call you over to make an opportunity. And then we did that. And then Nog also helped him a little bit. Nog, even though he's, his first language is Portuguese, he also speaks Spanish. He also speaks English. That dude is a smart guy in general. He would help him, move him around. Hey, yo, we can contest these minutes. Hey, yo, we could do this. And we just ended up, just synergizing a team. And I think Slash was the perfect fit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, dude, if SPL was still going on for this year, for this current season, I was thinking in my head, like, dude, you guys, I think I told Tuba this too. I was like, you guys should stick together to go to the next play-ins. Because I actually think that you guys had a really good chance at making it to the SPL had they done another play-ins event. Because you guys look so good at that tournament.
Yeah, we were thinking about it for sure, but no season. I mean, no SPL. So we were definitely beat up after because we knew we had the potential to win. So it hurt us, but we were like all homies. We all felt that we did our best. As fresh as we were and how little time we had.
Yeah, definitely. So, talking about the success of the team, what do you think was like the number one thing that made that team so successful? Was it the synergy between you Slash? Obviously you talked about that, but was there something deeper than that? Did you guys just learn stuff very well? Did you guys VOD review a lot? Did you scrim like triple block or anything like that?
All right, this might sound crazy, but we literally said we're not going to scrim because there was 3 weeks or 2 weeks left where we had picked up Slash. We played like a couple scrims versus SPL, and we were like kind of whatever. Like we were kind of like when you're messing around, but like it's just too little time to really create a meta and a lot of picks. So we kind of said, look, let's go in fresh. We all trust each other. We all know our picks. We all know that I'm the shot caller. We all know what we're gonna do when we're in game. Let's just go in fresh and just try our best because if anything, getting beat down by SPL teams in scrims because we don't have the synergy that they've had over a year doesn't really help the mental, which the mental is everything when you go to LAN. Making sure you're just trying to do the best play instead of just going in like, oh, we've already been beat by these guys. What do you think is going to happen? So we kind of went with that mentality, which is I don't recommend unless you're in our situation. But we just went in there like that, and we knew we all had really good mechanical players, and we knew Nog we could bail on Nog when we needed those big boy plays, and he hit those 4-man cuckoo ults, and we just rode off that wave.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, I'm friends with all you guys on Smite, and I have like Tuba and Slash in their little status for Smite. It's like getting carried by Nog, as their little status.
True that.
Cool. So for learning, for those looking to get better at Smite or just any MOBA, of course, like we mentioned, you have a lot of experience. You play in the Pro League. You've taken just about as far as anybody could go when it comes to Smite. What do you think is the best way for someone to learn trying to get better at Smite or really just any MOBA in general?
I think the fastest, if you're talking about efficiency and how fast you can learn a MOBA, it should be 70% watching, 30% playing. Because if you're practicing the same mistakes, nothing's going to change. You're going to be, not farming your speed as a jungler and trying to gank, over gank, those little things, not catching your waves. If you're able to watch a top player in any role that you want to play and ask yourself, why did he do what he did and what would I have done in that position? And then try to figure out the differences. That is the fastest way. And then apply after, right? You saw what the big difference is. Okay, he's farming way more than I am. Okay, he's not using as much mana as I would. Okay, now let me apply that to my game, and then you will see, you will grow in like 3 months a ton.
And do you also recommend watching your own VODs, or when you say watching, do you just recommend guides or streams like you said, like pro players?
I think you should be, I would say watching yourself is maybe a 10% thing because you should know what you're doing like in your game. Like when you watch it back, I do agree. You get a different perspective of the game, but when you died, you should know why you died, right? You should be asking yourself, okay, why was I here? Okay, it was because mid camps were up and I didn't know where the jungler was. So, but a lot of people don't even think like that far. Like you didn't even think, okay, damn, was I thinking of where the jungler was? No, you weren't. Why? Because you're not watching the best players and they're saying, okay, I'm thinking, where's the jungler? You didn't have the base information to go off. So I think having the information is the most important part. Then second is applying it. Then third is just it's just a cycle. It's pretty much what I did in Dota.
That's what you did in Dota. So what do you think? Yeah, I was gonna ask actually next what you think you did differently to get to the skill level you're at compared to like other players.
In my opinion, I think when I came from Dota to Smite, I felt like, okay, the macro is the layering is easier, right? In Dota, there's like 15 or 20 layers to think about in terms of how many buttons they can press to change the outcome of a situation. And Smite, for example, you're getting ganked by a Thor. There's 5 buttons that guy can press, right? Is his ult, his wall, his hammer, his spin, and his beads. If you're able to think about all 5 in the situation you're fighting him, and as he throws his hammer, you count that one out, right? Now you got 4 to think about. So that's the way I break down like gameplay. I already forgot your question because I already went on a ramble there, but what was the question?
The question was, what do you think you did differently to get to the skill level that you're at compared to other players?
Okay, yeah, there you go. You helped me. I love you, man. Coming from Dota to Smite, it did feel like less weight on my shoulders in terms of layering, but the mechanics felt different to get adjusted, right? Someone with really high mechanics in Smite can go pretty far. I think macro is how you hit the elite level, but to be really good, you just need to be able to hit everything and believe that you're going to hit everything, because if you don't believe you're going to hit everything, it's really hard to make the right decisions. So I think coming from Dota to Smite was a big, like, I had so much background already. So for me, it was just learning on her mechanics, on her CDs, on her, the basics, and then apply my Dota knowledge to it. And then, I was top ranked even before Smite had the ranking system, back when it was like me, Zap, Lazes, Toli, Shing, like a lot of these OGs. I was already there with them. It was just catching up on all the mechanics that they had already been practicing.
Yeah, and actually, what did you like more about Dota, or not Dota? What did you like more about Smite than say like Dota? Or you've even dabbled in League of Legends a little bit too, right?
Yeah, I was Diamond in League like 9 years ago. I liked League. It did feel like a more simple Dota. It just felt like like I said, it's always the layering. It's how many how many buttons I can press that can change the outcome. It's very similar to Smite in terms of like, there's only like 5 buttons I can press here that are going to change what's going to happen. So when I came from Dota to Smite, the biggest thing that caught my attention to Smite is obviously the beginning, third person, right? Okay, I'm behind my character. What I can see is very different. So in Dota, your awareness, you're in a top down, so your awareness is much higher, right? You can see everything. In Smite, you're in third person. It's really hard to see a team fight. Like, that's why I try to explain to a lot of players. It's really hard to see. You have to look back sometimes. Sometimes you got to take a step back in a team fight and just look and be like, okay, this is where I need to go. Because if Smite players, they just dive, they just keep going W, 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 and then they're in the Phoenix, and they're like, wait, what happened in this team fight? How did we lose?
Yeah. Definitely.
So third person for sure caught me, and then mechanics. I just love the mechanics of Smite. That is the true selling point for Smite, the mechanics.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about that before, how you thought that out of all the MOBAs, Smite just has the hardest mechanics because you have that third person POV. If someone really wants to go pro in a MOBA, from your experiences, what do you think is the most valuable tool that person can possess? Like, whether it comes to skill or connections even. Obviously, it's a combination of a lot of things, but what do you think is like the most powerful tool in that person's arsenal?
That's a good question. I think the most important thing you got to beat the best consistently. Mm-hmm. So in ranked, you got to be a top ranked player. That's besides the point. That just comes with it, right? If you're not a top ranked player playing against the best players in the game every single day and competing / beating them, then there's no chance, right? Second, be smart with the way you talk, right? That's important, because if you are, I'm a hardcore competitor. I say if I score in your face, you're gonna hear me. That's just the way I am. Has it cost me? Most probably, it's cost me a lot during my career of people I possibly could have teamed with, but it felt like changing my way of being to be on a better team. It just seemed like it wasn't worth it to me. I like my character. I like what I'm doing. I like the way I play the game. That's just the only way I know. And I have learned from my past to, be a better teammate. But at the end of the day, in ranked, if you get owned, you're gonna hear it. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, stay true to who you are, right?
100%. Only one
Absolutely.
of you.
Exactly, exactly. Might be two of me somewhere out there, but
Yo.
So if you were okay, so last question on this topic, if you were to encourage someone looking to get better at Smite, or what would you encourage someone looking to do to get better at Smite or really any MOBA? Just like VOD review, or sorry, not VOD review, but like look at other pro players, or
Yeah, just when you're so let's say you have 3 hours to play, right? Because a lot of us have life. We have the gym, we have kids, we have family, we have work. If you have 3 hours, I implement at least 2 hours playing, 1 hour watching. That's what I would do. So at least like maybe yeah, just keep it simple. 2 hours. Okay, I last night my last hour that I had available, I watched Andy play Chalk. Okay, I watched Dashboard play Baron. He did this. He leveled this order. He built these items. I'm gonna try it and see how I feel tomorrow. And then do that, and then be like, dude, I now I have Baron in my arsenal. I like the Thief Spike. I feel super tanky. You've literally like skipped steps in learning Baron just because you watched Dash play Baron and he did this build and he played this way and you picked up so much of that, and now it's 100 times better and 100 times faster than you playing Baron 20 times.
yeah, definitely. And do you think there's like a difference between, someone really just sort of copying, say for example, they see me um order level my Baron in a certain way, and they just copy it without really thinking or understanding why. I mean, so they're not really learning at that point, but you think obviously you need to understand why I'm doing so and so.
100%. Yeah, there's a big difference between copying and learning. I'm sure all of us know that from school.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm sure they know.
Definitely, definitely. Have you ever so what do you think about the current state of Smite? Like there not being an SPL this season. What's your overall view on it?
Okay, I think if you're a recurring Smite player, or I mean, if you're coming back, I think it's okay. What everybody should be doing right now in Smite 1 is just polishing your mechanics. Polishing, right? Builds are going to change. Everything's going to change but one thing: the Smite gods, right? They're already made. They're going to be, ported in. So just, polish up your mechanics, your CD timings. Don't worry about items too much. Just worry that you can hit everything whenever you want, however you want, whenever you want. And if you have that going to Smite 2, you're going to already have that polished up. And all you got to do is learn the Smite 2 items, macro, and everything is going to be fresh.
Yeah, no, I think that's well said. Have you ever thought about taking a break from Smite and like going back streaming other MOBAs such as Dota or League? I know
I did season 9.
Okay, yeah.
9 point. So I was okay. So 9.5 came out. I've talked a lot about this patch. It's a scary, scary, scary patch.
Yeah.
If you know anything about me, you've heard me yell about 9.5 at one point. The reason 9.5 really bothered me was, for one reason, I thought skill expression was being taken away. And I think for a game like Smite, you need skill expression. It's a MOBA. MOBA is the highest level of competition in terms of gaming, in my opinion. I respect COD, I respect Apex, I respect shooters, but I think MOBA has this elite level of strategy and decision making that no other game has. And that is what makes League and Dota prosper, right? It's their competitive scene. If their comp scene is super strong, then the game is strong. So I think 9.5 really bothered me and pushed me to Dota, where I was like, I want to come back to Dota and see really where I'm at. And I don't really enjoy Smite right now, so it seems fine. This is a good time to do it. And I went from unranked to top 1200 in NA East, which felt really good for me because it was like it felt like I said that I was a top player at Dota, which I was. Years ago, I played Smite for 9 seasons. And I came back and did it again for myself. And it felt really good, fulfilling for myself to know that I can play Dota at that level. But I also watch nonstop. That's why I say this. I never stopped watching Dota comp because it opens my brain to fresh ideas. Even in Smite or League, anything I play, I'm always creative. I feel like if you play too much Smite, you will lock in to one way of the game being played, right? I need pressure. I need to play this. I need to go Mannequin. I need to go Griffin Wing. Like, this is it's just a one way of thinking. MOBAs is all about creativity.
Yeah, no, I think that's well put. When I first got into Smite, I was like really intrigued by the core mechanics of the game, how the MOBA played out. It was a lot different, like you said, from FPS titles. FPS titles I think are a bit more mechanically intensive, but MOBAs have that strategy element right there, and I think that's what hooks a lot of players in.
Agreed.
And so what made you like, so you said you dabbled in it a little bit and then you just didn't like it as much, so you came back over to Smite and you're like, all right, like, I know I hate 9.5, but I'm gonna continue on.
Once I got the top 1200, I was really liking it, but I've made my career around Smite. I also made my business around Smite. So I was hurting. I was probably averaging like 100 to 200 viewers. And, I have a house now. I have a lot of responsibilities. So sometimes it really is hard to get away from Smite in terms of like business. Because you can't just half-ass it. If I'm going to jump to Dota, it has to be all in. Or I have to, same thing with Smite. Everything in life, if there's a plan B, that means plan A is not going to be successful. I mean, Arnold said that, and I kind of believe it, because if you have a plan B, that means you have a fallback plan. There can't be a fallback plan. You have to go all in on anything you do in life. So with that being said, I came back to Smite because I felt like, okay, I took a big enough break. I'm coming back, and I started competing again. And I also played a lot of Predecessor at that time too, so it was something that I was playing with the boys. Or was it? It was Overprime. It was the other Paragon game.
What do you think of Predecessor? I know like some people have been moving to it. I think Haddix was like dabbing his foot in it a little bit.
I think a lot of people were playing because they were sponsoring, they were doing partnerships, which is really interesting, right? For Pred to say, "Hey, yo, Smite streamers, big competitor, want to play Pred?" I thought it was interesting marketing, and they put enough money that people want to play, which was smart, right? Because like if it's $100, I mean, it's kind of hard for some streamers. But if it's you're talking more cash, I mean, shit. Even though you've been playing Smite your whole life, I mean, this is money, money we're talking about. So the way I think about Pred, first things first, the first thing they changed was the game is free. That has to be done, right? That was smart, right? Because now you lose nothing for just trying it. Second, made all the characters, most of the characters free to play. That is another big one that I think Dota's always done. League, you have to play so much or put so much money down to play the characters. No, all the characters are free. You play whatever you want, however you want. I love that. So I think it's more of a casual MOBA if you ask me. I'm a super competitor, so it's hard for me to play 8 hours a day. But if I were to play like 2 or 3 hours with my friends, I think I'd have a great time.
Yeah, have they? So you said it's casual. Have they not like announced any like pro league to it or anything like that yet?
There's no ranked, so that's already
yeah. Okay. But
which I think is a big mistake, but
yeah, I mean, is that just like temporarily, do you think, or do you think it'll come out with ranked eventually?
I think they have to come out with ranked if they want the game to survive.
Yeah, I agree. Like adding competition to any game, I feel like like any multiplayer game that you have, I feel like you have to have competition if you want people to keep watching, keep enjoying.
Yeah, keep watching, keep playing, or anything.
Yeah, definitely. What was like your biggest obstacle to overcome as a content creator, do you think?
That's a really good question. Biggest obstacle. Honestly, I always felt like streaming came really natural to me. I played a lot of sports. My dad is a really social person. I play softball, pickleball, racquetball, and he just always talks to people like random. He just goes to public. He's like, "Yo, bro, what's up, bro? How you doing?" I'm like, "How the fuck you know this guy?" He's like, "Oh, bro, I played against him once in softball, bro. He's my dog, And I always felt like that would help me a lot in terms of like social skills. Because when I talk into a camera or a stream, I felt like, it's "What's up, bro? How you doing? How's your day?" Just simple things. I think that's a lot of things, big thing that streamers lack. Yeah, you may be good at the game. Yeah, you may be whatever, but you got to talk to your people because that's the reason they're there. They're there for you. I mean, obviously they're there to watch the game as well, but they're there for you. And you got to make it, almost personal. The more personal you make it, the more included they feel and the more you feel like a community. And that's always the most important thing, I think.
Yeah.
So streaming.
Yeah. So just like for you, it just kind of came naturally and there was like nothing really that was like in particular, like really hard for you to overcome at all.
Yeah, even from a youngin, when I love having people watch me play. Like it was my favorite thing. I have my cousins come over. I'm like, "Yo, guys, you want to watch some Halo? Want to watch some COD?" And then I drop a 30 bomb, and I'm like, I look back at my boys, and I'm like, yeah, I love that. I love that feeling.
Oh, 100%. And did you guys? So wait, actually, when you guys went to Worlds, that one team that you were talking about earlier, that you played second with, was that in front of a live crowd? Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. Dude, how'd that feel? I mean, what was that feeling like?
So, okay, that year was absolutely insane. So, for a couple of reasons. So, Brochacho's my cousin, right? I grew up. How is he my cousin? So, he's not my blood cousin, but his younger brother, I played baseball with since I was 4. So, this is a very insane story. So, I was a hardcore shooter all my life. I played Halo, Call of Duty nonstop, 10 prestige in every Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, World at War, and I was always a shooter until I started playing with my cousin Alex, which is Brochacho's younger brother, and I would go over his house and sleep over, and Eric El Brochacho is always playing Dota, and I'm like, bro, what the fuck is this game? I sat next to him in a little fucking bucket upside down, watching him for 6 hours playing Dota. I just found the game so intriguing. So I've just watching it and playing it. Like I literally watched for like 2 years before I even clicked once in any of those games. So I was always like, ahead of the game in a way. And I already forgot the question. I always cook you on that, but the story is pretty much without him, I would have never known the game. And then that year in SOAR, we brought all our boys. All our boys were being super ridiculous in the crowd. Like, they're Miami boys. They're all like, they brought like signs, like giant signs. They're screaming, in these events, people are like, just like, oh, like nice triple kill. Like they're kind of more conservative, but our boys come from sports. So it was like, they were being stupid. Like, fuck yeah, yeah. Like, go Chapo, go Chacho. So, hearing that in the crowd, the pressure is definitely there. When the spotlight is there, one thing I try doing is just remember, this is Smite. This is what I do every day. Once I'm in the game, I forget about everything outside. But it really is hard when you hear the crowd roar and you hear the bass of the Thor's hammer. I mean, it does get to you. It doesn't matter what type of player you are, however you are. I've always played in front of people, sports, but it still gets to you. It's a nervous feeling. And I love it. I love that feeling. I love feeling like, damn, bro, everything's on the line. It's even giving me goosebumps right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, thinking back about that feeling. Yeah, definitely. And so, like, yeah, that never really, like, that's another thing I feel like that probably came easier to you because, like you said, you always liked watching, or you always liked playing in front of people, playing in front of crowds, essentially. So when you were playing on main stage, did you, like, really ever feel that pressure? I know you said you felt it a little bit, but like, do you think you were more calm than most other people, like, going up there?
Yeah. That's one thing I always felt, even like all my lands, season 2, season 1, even before, those lands, I felt like when I saw people come in, I played ranked versus these guys for years. We competed online for years, but when you show up to land and they used to put us in front of the other people, no wall, no mirror, literally in front. They were in front. You get up and be like, fucking shitter. I'm sure you've seen those COD highlights.
You remember Killer? Yeah. There you go. Prime example.
Savages. But I love it. That's just the same way I am. I hit a step back 3 or I hit something, a home run or something. I'm going to say something. I got to say something. And Dota has always taught me it's a mental game. In Dota, there's all chat lines, there's tipping. So for example, when I say tipping is what I mean. Imagine you give 50 favor to the person, you pick whoever you want and it shows it on the screen. So, for example, it's like, let's say I Thor dunk this guy, give him the full Thor combo, and then before I even kill him, as the hammer's coming back for the double tap to finish him, I'm tipping that guy. Like, the level of mental game for that guy to be like, yo, I just got tipped, comboed by Thor before he even finished the combo. Like, that's the next level mental game. And I love that. So when I played at LAN with SOAR, me and Brochacho were a lot like that. We would let people hear it. Like, if we got first blood, we'd yell just to say, yo, just to get in their heads, like start screaming, like, yo, let's fucking go, first blood, these guys are shit. And like, it would actually affect them. Nowadays, you're in 2 different booths. It doesn't really matter. You can get up, I'm sure you've seen Genetics and Haddix point at each other, but It's kind of harder to get in someone's head when there's so much space in between.
What do you think about people like, especially in like the Smite rank queues that are just like, oh, that guy's BMing that person? Like, what do you think about all that? And that's like,
I think that's our culture. That's a crazy topic to go into, but I think our culture is starting to, ease up on that. I can see the reason they do that. Like, you don't want people to feel like they're bullied or pushed, but at the end of the day, we're competitors, and that's what the game's about. We're there to be the best, and if we can get into your head, that's an edge, right? That's like an edge that as a competitor you should be taking advantage of. I'm all sportsmanship. Like, after the game, I'm gonna shake your hand whether you beat me, whether I smoked you. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna shake your hand, and it was a fun game because without you, there's no game to be played. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming out, but in game, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, I think it's important to know too. It's not personal at all. I feel
never.
I feel like some people think it's personal, but at the end of the day, it's just a game. Mm-hmm. Unless you attack that person, then it gets personal.
Yeah, unless you just punch him after the game, then it's a little personal.
Yeah, definitely. It's cool. So like we veered off a little bit, but I'm glad we did. That was a good topic. What advice would you give someone trying to get into content creation? You know, say like little Timmy, little Jimmy, you know, 12, 13 years old, wants to get into content creation. What kind of advice would you give them through your experiences?
I would say one word: consistency. Um, some people think, how do I say this? Okay, my dad made my life hard. And when I say that, I mean he made me strive for everything that I got. Like, it was, I worked hard for everything that I got. And even if he didn't, like, even if he had the extra money or he had the extra whatever time to give it to me, he made me work that, he made me push that extra inch. And that allowed me to be a successful streamer, because without that, I wouldn't have streamed 9 to 10 hours every single day, you know, for a long time. Like, that's the only way to be successful. You have to be consistent. You have to be there at the same time, the same energy, the same day. Obviously, sometimes you might not have like the emotional, you know, sometimes you're stressed or you're tired and you might not have, you know, the energy, but there's a difference between being motivated and being disciplined. You have to be disciplined.
Definitely. So very well put answer. Okay, so Andy, for as long as I've known you, you've been a leader, right? You're in IGL. I've teamed with you before. Obviously, I know you're in IGL. You take over the comms like crazy, in a good way. And for every team that you've been on, I'm pretty sure that you've IGL'd for as well. Do you think being a leader was something that you were born with, or do you think you developed that over time? Like, do you think it's part of your personality?
That's a good question. I'm not really sure when it happened. I think it was always a natural. Even in my Dota games or Han, when I was 14 years old or 15 years old, I had way older friends that I play with, and I just naturally said like, oh, like, it just felt like, okay, my brain is telling me this is the right play to do. Why not share it with my team? And if my team agrees, then we just do it, right? And then it became like a speed thing, right? Because all of us are thinking, okay, what should we do next? But I want to be the first to get it, to say it, you know? And then I realized, okay, I'm the fastest one coming up with it. Might as well just say it every time. Every time that it comes up, just say it. And then if it's wrong, I have to be ready to you know, to say, hey, that was my fault. And when I understood that it's okay to be wrong, that's the only way to succeed in life. Is, you know, the only way to succeed is to fail. So I took every rep. Like, every time I made a shot call, it was a rep. It's like, okay, let's do this. And then and as we're doing it and I'm looking at it, I'm observing, you know, it's like a stat sheet. Like, oh, I was successful this many times. But yeah, I think it just came naturally. I just always wanted to say, okay, what I think. And then if someone said it faster than me, I was never gonna try to ego it. Like, oh no, you know, overdo it. I would just question it, be like, hey, I think this is okay. I think this is right. What do you think? You know, let's get back to it. You know, what just share ideas. It just always came, I guess, naturally.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like, to me, you strike me as a very passionate person, right? Like, you're very loud, IGL, a leader in the comms. That passion, I feel like, where do you think you got that passion to really, I guess, do everything you're doing right now, right? Stream, play video games. Like, was that also just natural, or?
No, that was my dad for sure.
Yeah,
My dad,
yeah.
yeah, he pushed me in everything. I played baseball. I, you know, fielded a ground ball. I threw it. He's like, it could have been fielded better. It could have been, you know, thrown better. It could have been thrown faster. You know, could have been better mechanics. There's always more to be done. My dad always taught me that I'm never the best. And as soon as I think I'm the best, there's someone out there better than me. So it's always striving for perfection, but you're never going to make it there. But that's the beauty. That's the fun, you know, striving for something you're never going to get, but you're always one step closer. It's a weird, I guess, expression, but my dad put that passion in me for sure. Because if my dad didn't push me, then I would have for sure just done my natural instinct, which is to be comfortable and lazy.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we've all been there.
100%, bro. That pizza's calling.
Oh, 100%. Every Friday night.
Every Friday night, that demon is in my ear. Yo, bro. Pepperoni.
Do you have any advice for someone trying to find their passion in life?
That's a great question, and I do get that question a lot on stream, and my answer was always, you have to try something. The problem is everyone in life thinks things come to them. That is the biggest lie. Nothing comes to you. You have to go for it, and all you do from chasing a passion that might not be your true passion at the end of the day is you get experience to figure out what your true passion actually is. So It's about taking a billion shots, and you're gonna miss a billion, but you will hit a shot eventually, and you'll find it.
Do you think you're a successful person? Like, how would you define success?
How would I define success?
Yeah, and would you apply
Someone
that
that
definition
says
to you?
someone that says what they're gonna do and then does it.
Mm-hmm. And so you
That-
think, and so
No,
for
go for it.
you, sorry, my bad. And
No,
so
you're chill, you're chill.
for you, you think you're successful in that sense, that you just go out and do it?
I think I've completed many of my visions. Yeah, I would say I'm successful. I still think there's a lot to be done, but I consider myself successful because I also think your own vision of yourself is the most important thing, right? Because if you look at yourself down, then that's what you're going to be. You have to look up to yourself and humble yourself, right? You can't be egotistic. You have to be humble, but you have to also believe that you can do anything that you put your mind to. So it's a weird balance, just like everything in life, right? Everything in life is balance. You tip one way and like it's, you're going to feel it. So it's just about being humble, but also, believing in yourself. When you say, hey, yo, I'm going to Thor dunk and kill this guy, you believe that you're going to do it. And if you don't, that's okay. I missed, but be humble, right? At the end, say, hey, I missed. I sucked that time, but it's okay. I go again.
Yeah, being like confident, but also having the discipline.
Accountable, I guess that's the best word.
Yeah, accountable. Yeah, for sure. All right. Okay, so this one's funny. You've been an outspoken critic of the SPL format in the past. If there is an SPL in Smite 2, I don't know if there is going to be or not. I don't think they've really confirmed anything. But if there is, what would you like to see changed with the formatting? Would you like, if you were the commissioner of the league, how would you lay out the format? Would you want an online format or more lands?
So first, let's talk about why I was against the way the SPL did things. So until season 4, there was an open bracket and let the best win, right? Let the best players win out versus and earn their spots. Then they had relegations, which is necessary for a developing scene, right? Because if you're the bottom 2 team, why do you deserve to be there? You deserve to. You need to play for your spot if you're the bottom 2 team. If you went 0-7, you need to play versus the next upcoming team that wants to beat you in the league below you. And if you beat them, then you deserve it. If you lose, then you're obviously out. They took out relegations, which I think choked the scene. And so my problem with the scene was you can't hand out the spots. That takes away competitive integrity, right? Like you if you're saying, hey, look, you were pro before, here's a spot. That rubs me the wrong way. That takes away competitive, comp, right? They need to earn that spot because if they are the best player, then they should have no problem beating the players under them, right? So if anything, it would just be more content and more for the league in general. So when they took that out and made it a private league almost, that's literally what it was, a private league where you cannot be relegated out or relegated in, I think it hurt the scene a lot. Because I would have never been SPL if there was no relegations. I got second place at Xbox Worlds. I then came to PC. I brought Uzi with me. I picked up MLC Stealth, Wowie, and Wubbin. And I said, hey, guys, we're better than this team. Let's go do it. Let's go prove it. We went through an open bracket, and we beat the bottom team. We deserve it. We deserve that spot, right? And so, like, taking that away really hurt me. And I think it hurt a lot of people, but they just weren't outspoken about it because they felt like it would hurt their chances if they spoke out. And so I agree with them. It probably hurt my chances a lot too, but I just had content creation to back me up. So I guess I didn't fear the consequences. But if I'm going to do it, see, Smite 2, let's talk about the positive now, right? Smite 2, I'm going to make a pro league. This is very simple. Open bracket, both sides, Europe, NA, and South America if they want to include it. I'm not sure. I'm hoping big things for Smite 2, maybe even Asian servers. I don't know. Hoping big things for Smite 2. And have open bracket, however many regions they want to have, and then have 6 teams or 4 teams in the SPL that play each other, and then the top 2, or I think 6 per region, and then top 2 go to playoffs, and then eventually set up for Worlds or whatever lands they have, any majors. I also think they should have. So, for example, right, top 2 NA, top 2 EU, right? We don't know who's better. We don't know anything. That's why I think there should also be a group stage where all teams round robin each other to then set up the bracket. Not that the bracket is pre-set up, right? I think because nobody knows. NA has only been playing versus NA, so we don't know how good they are compared to EU. We don't know how their macro is going to change, picks change. It's two different versions of the game clashing into each other, which is beautiful to watch, by the way. So I think that's very important. So if they have, however many regions they have, they should have 6 teams per region, 8 if they want to have more. I don't mind. Bottom 2 should be relegated, and then the other 6 keep their spot because they perform to do so, and then have those, those majors or worlds, whatever they want to set up for.
Yeah, and honestly, that's why I've always enjoyed the like SEC versus SPL, or even NA versus EU SEC, because it is 2 different versions of the game, right? Like EU plays a lot different from NA typically. NA is like a little bit more faster paced, EU is a little bit slower paced. So it's cool to see those 2 play styles clash, and then let
100%.
alone bring it to the SPL. So that round robin, of course, would probably be a LAN event, right? Because you have EU teams coming over in NA.
I also think one of the biggest problems about these LANs is not only that is their bracket pre-set up, but you know how bad it feels to come and play and fly across the world and play 1 best of 3.
Yeah,
it makes no sense to me. You should have a group stage where the group stages is round robin. Let's say have group A, group B, right? Depending on your placement, EU1, NA2, whatever have the groups. Let them play round robin. So and 2 games, right? Not just 1, 2 games, and it doesn't matter if you win. It's not a best of 3 or anything. It's just 2 games to get your points up, and then they have the point system set up. So now the bracket is set up. You already played. Your team is already warmed up. You already played 6, 7, 8 games, and so you're ready to go. I think that's really important. I love that about Dota. My favorite part about Dota is watching the group stages, seeing all the personalities of the team. Like, oh, wow, this team versus this team. Oh, wow, that was crazy to watch. Wow, fast-paced team. And then the bracket is set up according to that, and then it's like, wow, like now we're going to see, the pressures on the line. It's the best of 3. This is all in. I love that. They also added a loser's bracket recently, which was really good for the game. Loser's bracket, there has to be a loser's bracket.
Yeah, I thought that was like really good when they added that. I believe 2 play-ins. Was the first one like 2 play-ins ago, and then they started like making that the format. What did you think of the Worlds format though? This last Worlds, I think it was just it was just 1 match and then you were out, right? Like there was no losers bracket.
Is that a Worlds or is that I don't know. I thought that was rough. I mean, yeah. I guess the group stages of Worlds was what we played, right? At the LAN. I mean, at the high-res studio, which I guess you could say it is, but it's just, it was just weirdly set up. I've always thought it was weirdly set up. I mean, I guess they don't really have much options when all the teams are already in Atlanta, so it's just a little weird. I guess there's no really regions, right? It's just 1 region. So, and we've already seen them verse each other for so long that it's not anything spicy when we get to the playoffs, right? We've seen these teams verse each other all year.
Yeah, I also thought that was like another issue with having everything on LAN 24/7, because I feel like the LAN events weren't as special, right? If you just had regular Pro League matches during the season and then you get to say a midsummer's LAN versus the Pro League teams, it's like it's just the same thing. They're all playing each other again and in the studio versus like online versus studio format. So
100%. Yeah, one of their biggest mistakes was to try to copy League of Legends format with the completely different numbers. The numbers didn't make sense. I also think it took away a lot from EU, and it's rough for them, right? Because you have to give up your whole life to do what you were doing regardless, a year ago or 2. So I completely disagreed with that. Copying a League of Legends format, Smite was nowhere near big enough to do that. Plus COVID hit too. There's just too many negative things that happen at the same time. Big mistake. But, life is all about making mistakes.
Yeah, definitely.
SMITE2, we hope for big things.
Yep, and we hope for a Pro League.
True that.
Please let there be a Pro League. Cool. So let's move on to teammates, right? You've been a part of a lot of teams. You've had a lot of teammates. Has any teammate ever pushed you to play better and changed your perspective of the game?
That's a good question.
I'm here all night, baby.
Let's go. So I think aggro helped me. Aggro, all right, Brochacho and aggro both helped me. They were both older than me. They knew that I was definitely, when I was younger, I was a little bit more heated. Like if scrims were going wrong, I would say things, but very bluntly. And instead of, when tension is high, the best thing to do is, give time. Just don't say it then, give space to everybody and then have a, real talk about it. I was really, as it's happening, I would say it. which I think is actually a mistake. You should be talking about it after the game, because all it's going to do is affect the future of that game negatively. So I think Aggro and Brachacho both helped me in terms of being more mature player. In terms of like, I was like 17 or 16, thinking more like someone that's 25, thinking like, okay, I need to be a team player. I need to be, bringing everybody together, not pointing someone out. So, changing my words, like we, not you, things like that is very important. Yeah, I think those guys definitely is a big ups. Other than that, I was usually older than everybody that I played later in my life. Those guys were much older than me when I was, starting up the league. So those two guys definitely helped me a lot in terms of just being a better teammate.
Definitely. And do you think that it's also still important to kind of say, like, you, for example, I know it's sort of pointing someone out and taking someone out of the team and saying like, okay, you screwed up on this, you messed up on this, but also letting them hear that they screwed up and messed up on it so they can improve and change the way that they play in the future? Or do you think that just causes too many high tensions between you and somebody else?
No, it needs to be spoken about. It needs to be spoken about. So my biggest what I dislike a lot about some teammates is they backfire. Instead of like listening, they're trying to come up with a comeback. And I think that is like the most annoying thing ever. Like, I'm not trying to fight with you. I'm trying to tell you this. And if you have if you feel like whatever I said is wrong, or don't try to tell me, oh, but you're doing this. That's so useless. We're not getting anywhere. We're just going back and forth. Be like, let's talk about what I said, right? Let's say, for example, oh, yo, you're not pushing your lead strong enough. Whatever. Okay, how should I push my lead strong enough? Or how should I change? What do you think is wrong about what I'm doing? You see, that's a good question, because now we're gonna get somewhere instead of saying like, oh, but you're not ganking. And I'm even that might make sense. I'll be like, okay, but you're just like firing back at me. You're being defensive instead of being constructive.
Yeah, definitely. Or as Zeno says, it's always a jungle gap.
Jungle gap, guaranteed, bro.
Only in ranked. Who was? I mean, and this might overlap with sort of the previous question a bit, but I asked you, what teammate really pushed you to play better and change your perspective of the game. Who has been your favorite teammate to team with of all time? And like I said, if it overlaps, it's fine.
No worries. Favorite team, one person? That's hard.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna have to be Eric Brochacho. I learned the game off him. So I had a really, going into Dota League, Smite, I always had a very strategic perspective to the game. I was never like, I don't know, I listen to a lot of Smite players and they're just such like, they talk like Call of Duty players in a MOBA, like, oh yeah, bro, like, bro, I'm fucking 15-1, bro. It's like, bro, did you even really look at the game? Like, yeah, you were 15-1, but then you died at FG, they got FG, and the 10K lead was flipped, right? So like, those people would say, but I was 15-1. Right, that's COD. That's thinking like, okay, yeah, you killed a lot of people, but when the game was on the line, you died and you lost us the game, right? So it's like, I don't even know how to explain it. Wait, what was the question? I think I went out of the.
No, you're good. It was a favorite.
That's favorite player.
Favorite teammate.
Favorite teammate. Yeah, so yeah, it has to be Eric, because like we learned the game together. We would talk about MOBA nonstop, bro. We would drive to LAN and just be like, yo, but what do you think about like Athena Fender? I think with like the Brutalize and the Athena all sticking to like the Hachi, and these guys are loving Hachi right now. Like, talking about MOBA like that is just it gives me like euphoria in a way. I love talking about MOBA, the deepest aspect. Look at their picks, what they've done, what is good. What do you think? Just going back and forth about what do you think could be the best is my favorite aspect of going to LAN and playing MOBA.
Yeah,
so it has to be Eric.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys sound like you guys were just all in too. I mean, you guys were going to LAN talking about different matchups. Yeah,
I always felt like I know it's off topic, but Smite was never treated like how I thought MOBA should be treated. When I started teaming with other players that weren't Eric, they just looked at the game so black and white. Like, it was like, this guy, Izanami has pressure. Can we first pick it? And like, when I'd hear things like that, I'd just be like, you're not thinking of a counter. You're not thinking of like an outplay or a different way to win the game, a different avenue. No, it was just black and white. Pick Izanami. She has pressure. Yeah, but she's a shit god mid late game. She has no CC immunity. She does nothing other than clear the wave fast. Should I still pick it? Yeah. I don't need to clear the wave fast. It's like, that's so black and white. I just hated that about some players. I really disliked talking draft and hearing things like that. I wanted to find an outplay, finding a way to outmaneuver the draft.
Yeah, I mean, so like, speaking about pressure, I feel like in most metas, that's kind of how Smite has been played, been perceived. Um, from like at least a macro standpoint too. What do you think about that? Like, do you like the pressure metas? Do you like the non-pressure metas better?
I think there's never been a non-pressure meta in Smite in its whole career. For one reason, well, right now we might have the only one, and that's because of comeback mechanics. But before that, the reason pressure is the most important thing in the game is simply one. There's one thing making that happen, and it's the fact that towers reduce 80% of gold on minions after hit. I always thought that mechanic was never looked at. I always brought it up to every dev, every LAN I came to. I was like, why is that a thing? And they never really had a good answer. They just had it from the beginning, and that was like, it was built on top of it. The game was built on top of it, but I found ways out of it. I was like, you don't need that. Because then characters like Hu Yi are just dead, right? Like they can't be played because they can't clear the wave. That just takes away creativity from a draft. Like, oh, Hu Yi is really strong here. He has really good tank kill. Can we pick Hu Yi here? No, he has no pressure. That's so boring. Like, you're taking away like the juice of the meat. You know what I mean? I need the juice. So yeah, I always told them to look at that mechanic. It was never looked at, but I think that's the reason Smite is a pure pressure game. You need to farm fast because if they're sitting in their tower losing 80% of the gold, not only are they losing that, you're getting prio on any camp that's around. So you're just getting double up on the fact that you have pressure. It's just playing the game on easy mode when you have pressure.
Yeah, and do you hope they change that for Smite 2?
Yes, at least I hope they look at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not 80%, maybe 40% would make a drastic change in what picks can open up. 30%, I think they can mess with it a really good bit. And then maybe, yeah, I think that's it. I think everything else is fine in terms it's just for pressure not to be OP.
Yeah, yeah. So Andy, are you still a personal trainer coach?
So I did personal training. So I never was I never went to school for it. Everything I've ever done in terms of bodybuilding and fitness and health was all just done by myself. I was very passionate about bodybuilding. I think I got to a pretty insane physique at one point. And as I thought about it more and more, and people would try to check me all the time on Twitch and Twitter, like, "Hey, yo, bro, but you don't have like you don't have a degree in health." And I said, my answer was always the same. It's like my physique, speaks for itself. Like,
Right.
and so as I started to lose my physique because I was starting to play sports, like after COVID, I kind of like stopped hitting the gym as hard as I did, because you have to dedicate your life. It was from the second I woke up, it was what I was eating, how much I was drinking water, how much sleep did I get, how hard is my training session, how much caffeine am I? It was just so much, It takes your whole day to just get to that physique. So then I was like, you know what? I'm investing so much in my life. I'm so passionate about it. Why not try to share that with other people and for money, right? Because like if I'm writing you a personal plan of how to get to your physique, like it's taking time for me. I want to stream. I want to play Smite. I don't want to write down a plan. But I do want to help people, right? So then I started to do ebooks, and I did it, and I actually got to like 300 subscriptions at one time, which was absolutely insane. But then as I started to lose my physique after COVID, I felt like I should not be writing ebooks if I don't have the physique to represent it. Even if I still have the knowledge, I just felt like my physique is my diploma, and if I don't have that, then I feel like I don't feel fair writing those plans.
Yeah, I always feel like your personality, kind of this goes back to being a leader, sort of drove you to that as well, drove you to, wanting to go out and help other people with their um health as well. Um but so you did all that. What do you think about sort of the little debate going on Twitter right now? I think Jake Lucky asked Shaq about it, but about esports
I've
players
seen that.
calling themselves athletes and so on and so forth. What's your take on
It
that?
just depends how you look at the word athlete. Right? But I agree with Shaq's take. I love Shaq. I'm a big fan of Shaq. I think he looked at it the right way, right? He can't do what I do, right? Like, and I can't do what he does. And that's the beauty of it, right? It's just being so good at something. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be fucking standing on one toe. Like, if you're better than me at standing on one toe, I mean, you're that guy. And if there's people willing to pay to watch someone stand on one toe, then that guy's better than me, and that guy deserves the money he gets. So yeah, I agree with Shaq. I think if anything can be an athlete, you're just the best at something.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like too, a lot of people look at, I forgot who originally made the tweet. I'm pretty sure it was like a pro boxer, but he was like, how are these people, and it was a group of people that were, heavier weight, didn't really take care of themselves as much. He was like, how are these people calling themselves like esports athletes? Like that's not a sport, right? But obviously it's all different, right? I mean, look at you, for example. You're ripped. You go to the
Thank you,
gym,
bro.
you take care of yourself, you're very healthy. And I have other friends in the industry as well, other teammates that play professionally that are of the same exact physique as well.
But I also do on that point too. I do think fitness is necessary for a good mindset, because this is the way I always looked at it. Like, what made me, I guess, better at life in a weird way is that the gym taught me. The gym humbled me. It's like I can't get to these biceps or these chest or this type of physique with just going. I can't push. I can't push 70%. I have to push 110% every time, right? And even if I'm sad or I'm tired or whatever I'm feeling, I have to go and do it, because without that, I can't polish the diamond. Pressure is what creates diamonds, right? You need that pressure. You need that second voice in your head saying, go again, push harder, and that's why I think you get that in the gym, right? Because if you're just gaming, and you might be mechanically gifted and you might be the greatest player, but someone will overtake you if you don't have that mindset.
Yeah. And how do you how do you find time for all that? Like, what do you do on a day by day basis? Like, what's your
Um,
routine?
I wake up, I fast. I used to eat breakfast. I used to think breakfast was really good for me. It probably did. Breakfast with carbs helps my workout. I'm stronger. I have more endurance. But then I started fasting because I felt like on an empty stomach I just perform better. But I am a little bit weaker. But I pretty much just fast. I go train or I go play a sport, whether it's pickleball, softball, and then I come back. I get my first meal and then I start my stream. And that's pretty much what I do for the last like 10 years. Whether it was like I need 2 hours of some physical activity to clear my mind and get my mind right, and then go and do my 8 hours or 9 hours of streaming grind.
Dude, yeah, I've been hearing like a lot about pickleball recently. Is that like trampoline thing where there's like a little trampoline in the center?
Nah, nah.
Oh,
I
okay.
know what you're talking about though. That one's sick. Like at the beach and stuff. You've seen it, like
Yeah.
where they kick the ball and head. Yeah, that one's sick. No, pickleball is tennis. It's smaller tennis,
Oh, okay.
but what's the big difference is like in tennis you never see people really get to the edge of the net, right? They're usually pretty far out. In pickleball, the goal is to get really close to the net, as close as you can get. And what happens is it ends up being a battle between, it becomes paddleball. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Like you're just hitting it straight to each other, bam 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 bam, and eventually someone has to mess up. So that's what's really exciting to me about pickleball. I've never been a tennis or ping pong player. It just, pickleball really picked up, and I think it's like going to be one of the biggest sports in the world very soon. Just because anyone can play it. That's the biggest thing. I go to the court, I'm playing versus a 70-year-old man with no knees, or I'm playing against an 18-year-old that's actually super athletic. It's crazy the range of players that can play the game.
Yeah, and I think also too, when you do that, besides obviously keeping your health and being healthy and being active, you're building connections with people as well. And I feel like that's something as a content creator, maybe you can speak about this, but that's something as a content creator is kind of like harder to do because you're inside all the time, online, of course. I mean, yeah, you're building online connections, but it's kind of harder to reach those real world connections and interactions.
Yeah, no, real world interactions is very, very important. You need to talk to people. You need for people to like you. You need to like people,
Yeah.
and that's crazy. But it sounds crazy, but it's true. Like, yeah, I've been a streamer and like whatever. I'm like quote unquote like kind of famous in the internet, right? When people look at like my YouTube, my Twitch or stuff, they're like, "Oh, bro, you're like famous." But the truth is, I never act that way, or would never, act like anything. I act like myself. I see you playing pickleball, I'm like, "Yo, good hit." Like I don't know you, you don't know me, but you hit a good hit. You're cool. What's up? I always try to give off good energy because energy is everything. Like energy is everything. I come into the stream and I bet you everybody knows whether I had a good or bad day because I'm pretty, I'm see through. Like I put it on my sleeve, right? Like how I feel.
Yeah, definitely. I want to ask you like a few questions real quick that don't have any connection to each other, but just like pick your brain a little bit. What's your favorite character in Smite?
Janice.
Giannis? Yeah, I figured.
Hmm.
I figured when writing that one. Giannis with Blink or without Blink?
with Blink.
Yeah, of
You don't
course.
need Aegis. That's for children.
dude, when I was teaming with you, bro, and you were mid lane, you were going Blink Scylla, and I had that conversation with you. You're just like, Dash, why do I need Aegis? All right, like I will be the engage the setup. I'm Blink Scylla.
Yeah, I find the opening.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your favorite item in Smite?
That's a good question. Honestly, most of them are pretty damn boring. I'm trying to find which one I dislike the most.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I'm just kidding. I guess it'd have to be Boomba's hammer when it was good. It just had it had things to do.
Yeah, like
OG Boomba's hammer, 1 second reset CD.
Okay, and that was on everything too, including alt, right? I remember you're getting like alt. Yeah, that was crazy. Favorite class and favorite role, like favorite classes in like warrior support, or sorry, like warriors or guardians. Yeah,
that's a hard one. It's between mage and assassin for sure. Those are the best god designs. It's probably mage.
Mm-hmm. And then your favorite role?
I'm a mid laner in every game but Smite. I don't know. It's between jungle or mid. I would say jungle.
Okay. Yeah. Speaking of designs of characters, worst design character in Smite in your opinion? Bakasura, really? Over like Charybdis?
I mean, that one's rough too. Shit. I don't know. They're battling for that. Yeah. I don't know. Cherry's ult is like so forced, but I mean, yeah, it's just bad. But it's better designed than Baka though.
Yeah. What do you hate about Baka? Like, what's so like crappy about it? Yeah, just like the.
I mean, it has a potential, but yeah, I mean, it's just an outdated kit. Like jump, okay, cool. Everybody has jump. It just does damage. Eat a minion at 33%. Shit, might as well hit that shit twice instead of eating it. And then 3, his true blades. I mean, it's okay. It's like an empower, but I don't know. I just don't like his kit. It's kind of like anybody looks good on him.
Yeah,
if he's good.
Do you think like do you have like any idea on one way they could kind of change his kit around or?
Yeah, Bakasura, that one's interesting. I had ideas for like Arachne and other characters, but Bakasura, I think his E needs to be 60% instead of 33 because it needs to be like, okay, I confirm this buff. This is my ability. Like this is what I'm designed around. They can. Yeah, 60% would be right? Because then you're an invading like jungler. You're someone you have to be on top of these buffs to defend. And I think his ult should be maybe a bigger circle and more splash, a little bit of a bigger cone, maybe something like that. And his jump could be something, I don't know, something extra. It slows when because the problem is everybody just walks away from you. I think if his jump slowed for whatever reason, 20% or something, could give him, he's not a character without his ult. I think that's a problem.
Yeah, and give him the ability to like eat the fire giant.
Yeah, that too. I'll take it.
What's your favorite season?
They all kind of blend in, honestly. But I know which is my most hated season. That one's good.
I'll take that one.
I guess season 9. Season 9 really tilted me. But I think the other seasons were fine. I think when they took out Invader's Curse, it made me sad too. All the bandage fixes they ever did really like let me down. Invader's Curse, anti-heal, whatever, global. Those things were just like, okay, these things are too strong. Let's make something to like fix it in general. It's like no. You gotta find the base of the problem. You can't just put something on top of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what season do you think you performed the best in? Like, what was your like? For example, for me, I feel like season 8 was like probably my best performance out of all the seasons.
I think like season 4 when I came to PC, I came with like revenge, and the reason was it was that people were calling me Xbox guy for so long, and I'm like, bro, I played Dota before you when you were in diapers, bro. Like, like there's no way you're calling me Xbox guy. So when I left the Xbox, even though I got second place at Worlds, like I came with like a mission, and I think I went like demon mode in ranks for like 6 months. Like I was barely reading chat. I was locking in my 5, like 6, 7 strong picks. Like right now, you'll see me playing like fucking Anubis jungle, and just walking around. But back then, like I was just locked in with like 7, 8 picks and just counter picking and ranked and everything.
Yeah. What character do you think is the hardest to perfect in Smite?
Janice.
Giannis, really? Why is that?
I think because there's a portal on every wall that puts you in a specific place, and that has to be understood everywhere on the map. I think like I think Thor is up there, right? Uller, people will say those characters, but the reality of Uller is that they're all straight lines other than his three. Like they're all gonna be hit. Like it's on paper, like I guess like on paper it seems like a lot, but it's not. Like once you start to learn, okay, I can hit the 1-1. Okay, 1-3-1, 1-3-1, 1-3-1. It's the same thing. Janice just knowing every portal on every wall is, I think, a huge skill factor. And hitting those long range ults, like knowing where they're gonna be, from half a map's distance is always something that's different. Obviously there is luck to it too, right? You hit a 5-man Janice by mistake. I mean, sometimes those happen.
Yeah. And do you think that's also partly why he's like your favorite character, because he's so difficult to master?
Yeah, that's why I just play him in mid. I just like knowing, like I like people being angry or frustrated that they can't kill me because I know every portal on the wall when they're looking for me. So like even in these guys, like I have a lot of people that I pick Janice first pick, and these guys lock in Susano, Daji, like all these characters that are really good at following. I'm like, perfect. I'm gonna make your life really hard, and I just love that.
Yeah. And favorite relic, and why is it Blink?
That's a great question because it's not a question. I mean, Blink for sure, man. Like why does Blink? When they shortened the distance of Blink, I thought it was a huge mistake. But yeah, I love Blink. Blink is the best. Beads is whatever. Aegis is mighty boring. And every other relic is boring. Blink is the best relic. And why is it Blink? Because it's Blink. That's it.
Yeah. What is the story, the origin story behind Elleon, like your tag? How did you come up with it?
It's pretty simple. So El Chapo was my OG name that a lot of people, I literally built my first community off that and everything. Then I realized, okay, I'm getting too big for this name, right? Because there can be confliction because of the name, right? There's like El Chapo, the drug dealer that's killing everybody in still current time, right? It wasn't just like, oh, it was an OG time, Pablo Escobar, like he's dead, like nothing happened. It's still a person that's alive and doing things and actively doing things. So I just didn't want to have my name, intertwined with that. I wanted to be my own person. And so that I kept the L, which is the Spanish vibe of me, right? I'm still Latino. L, which is and then put Lion, which is my last name, Leon. And then it just fit right. I was like, Elleon makes sense. Like, and I love lions. Obviously, it's my favorite animal. A lot of people's favorite animal. And I just got lucky to have a sick last name, so I just threw it on there.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's a great branding name, sick last name, everything about it. What is like the craziest, or I guess most heated conversation? Not really conversation, but yeah, I guess most heated conversation you've had with a teammate.
You heard one of them, Malachi.
Yeah, I was thinking about that one. Was
that one was different,
dude? All right.
That was crazy. Go for it.
I was gonna say, unless you want to tell, do you remember what happened with Mal?
Was it the Bluestone? It's something in Left Phoenix. I remember that I was something in Left Phoenix and something about his build.
It was not building Soul Eater on Wukong, I believe. And it was like you guys, like after that scrim, you guys were like arguing about it for a solid hour. Zen and I are sitting there laughing in the background, just having a good time. And you're like, all right, let's 1v1 right now. You guys both whip out Wukong 1v1, and you start like proxying his wave and showing why Soul Eater is to be built on Wukong. And then you start like going over the mid lane and start hitting that. And Mal's like, this is so stupid. You get ganked by the enemy jungler here. And
I remember that was something.
Dude, it was the funniest thing ever. And I'm like, Andy, bro, is this accomplishing anything? You're like, no, but I'm having a blast or something like that, dude. It was so good.
Those are fucking hilarious times. Now, I've had heated conversations with people. I mean, but yeah, there's been people that are like, so you want to know something crazy, right? Like Uzi, if you ever met Uzi, he's super laid back. I mean, kind of similar to you. You're pretty relaxed. Uzi maybe even more so. And sometimes I actually merge with those people really well because we're completely opposite personalities. Sometimes when it's a very similar personality, we end up, butting heads. Sometimes I get along better with people that are just really laid back, like, oh yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's cool. And I'm like, yeah, it's simple to get my point across and, them explain whatever they feel. So yeah, sometimes it's weird. Yeah, laid back people, I actually end up someone that's opposite your personality may end up being someone that you're actually really intertwined with.
Yeah, opposites attract. Do you have any regrets in life?
Good question. Okay, this might sound crazy, but sometimes I do think about picking Smite, picking Smite. I've always been a huge, mega, super fan of Dota. And I think I had the potential to be the best player in that game. And then I think coming to Smite, I think I half-assed myself. I love it, and I love the community I built, and everything I built was around Smite. So regretting it would be a scary word to use, but rethinking my life, sometimes when I look back, I'm like, damn, I should have just stayed with Dota.
Yeah, and it's not because of the gameplay aspect, because that's why you came to Smite in the first place, right? It's because of the sort of, it's like a smaller game,
Professional
professional aspect.
opportunity. Yeah, like because it wasn't even about the money, right? Obviously, if in Dota I would have been like, if I win one Worlds, I'm a multimillionaire. In Smite, I'm still not even a multimillionaire. But it was just about the it was just about the like. I'm trying to find the word. The legacy. It would have felt like winning Worlds in Smite is cool, but in Dota, being at one of those championships would have fulfilled what I wanted for myself in terms of legacy. Sometimes I still think to myself, I'm like, can I go back right now and try? It would be a long journey, but I think if I was going to take the journey, it would have been when I was younger.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of actually prize pools, because that's a good point. Dota has absurd prize pools, some of the biggest I think in esports actually. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that like most of it is crowdfunded. I think
Mm-hmm.
Smite used to do that way back when. Do you
One
hope?
year.
Yeah, 1 year, and I think what it was like $1 to $2 million, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Do you hope that they bring that back in Smite 2 if they do have a pro league?
They're going to have to look at their finances, but yeah, I mean, crowdfunded is the, in my opinion, the perfection of esports, right? Like these people want to watch this, so they buy this to support the fund, which is gonna support the players that play for it. I think treating Smite as a desk job, okay, you make 40K if you're in the pro league, is absolutely insane for a game like Smite. Smite is smaller, so it has to be about winning. You have to be a winner to make money. And if not, then you better be doing content creation. And this is gonna rub a lot of SPL wrong. But a lot of those guys got lazy. A lot of those guys got comfortable because they're making 40K and they're just gonna sit there and show up to scrim and call it a day. No, you got to win it. You got to earn it, bro. And streaming is how you earn it, and competing is how you fulfill the legacy. So yeah, no, I think a lot of SPL guys just kind of sat around and took that 40K and ran away with it. I think it should have been about winning. You have to be win to make money. It can't be
So
a desk job.
so you don't like the salary aspect. What about those people that say like, okay, well, people can't support themselves without knowing they're getting guaranteed like a base pay of something on top of whatever they win from tournaments?
Well, if you're pretty much saying you're a loser, because that's what it says to me, right? I'm gonna lose, so I need money to make sure that even if I lose, I can support myself. Well, if you know you're gonna lose, you better start streaming because you're investing the time already in the game. So might as well try to make something out of it. That's what I would say. And if not, then go work or 9 to 5 because you're not meant for this. That's what I would say.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe even just like have a part-time job on the side while you try to compete for Smite as well.
Yeah, it's crazy to have the mentality to say I want to play Smite 8 hours a day and I want a base pay for that. Like, no, bro, competition is all about winning. I like if Smite was bigger, okay, I don't mind a salary, right? But like the salary should be lower and the winning should be higher, right? Like maybe 20K, but if you're winning, if you're like top 4, you're gonna be making a lot more, right? Because then you're like competing for the best, and that's what competition is all about. It should not be a desk job. You shouldn't be getting like base salary. Okay, cool. It should be through sponsors and other things that you make that extra money, that extra bonus.
Yeah, maybe like kind of like what they did with the SEC, how they have, you get paid more depending on how you placed, right? So like 8th place or 6th place, whatever it was, I think got like $800 versus like 1st place, you're getting like
But like
1,400, and then you're also going to land, and then you get base money for being able to go land. But that's also because you performed during the regular season, and so you're able to make it there in the first place.
100%.
Okay, Andy, I got one last question for you. if you were to go back to your 13-year-old self, right, your younger self, knowing what you know now, what would you tell that person? What would you tell him?
Damn, that's crazy. Trying to think of something good to tell him.
No, you're good. You're good.
I would just say, you got this. Nothing else. He doesn't need to know more. He's going down the right way.
Going the right path.
Yeah.
Damn. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Andy, dude, thank you so much for doing this with me today, man. I appreciate it. You're the man.
It was a pleasure, bro.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Your responses were amazing. And
ask your questions.
Thank you, man. Thank you. But yeah, I appreciate this, and hopefully we can do it again sometime. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
100%, bro. This podcast needs to blow up. Retweets, read this, bro. For SMITE2, I can see this being really big, bro.
Thank you,
SMITE2
man.
goes off. This podcast goes off. There's a league. A lot of people watching, asking questions. I think it could blow up.
Yeah, may SMITE2 save us all.
Amen.
Amen.